There are more than 150,000 fires in the workplace every year in the United States. On average, those fires kill more than 100 people annually and injure more than 5,000 workers. Fires cost businesses more than $2.3 billion per year. If a fire breaks out in your facility, do you know what to do? This program explores different types of fires, how fires can be prevented, and what to do in the event of an actual fire. Having a fire awareness attitude in the workplace is very important. Accidents can happen if you're not careful. By being alert and following the proper steps, you can prevent costly damage and even save lives. That's why it's important to know the safety procedures in your facility and to take drills seriously. What you take out of this training session could save your life or the lives of your coworkers someday. A key element in any war plan is to know your enemy. Of course, ever since people learned to harness it, fire has been both friend and foe. Without fire, we would be helpless against nature. Instead of having nice cooked meals, we'd be stuck eating all our food raw. And there would be no such thing as modern manufacturing. But fire is a two-edged sword. It can help and hurt. An uncontrolled and unexpected fire destroys everything in its path, including people. So for the purposes of this program, let's consider fire as the enemy. For a fire to occur, three things need to be present. Without all three, the chain reaction that takes place under the right, or should we say wrong conditions, no fire can occur. First, a fire needs a fuel source, or something for it to actually burn. Fuel sources can be solids, liquids, or gases. Next, there needs to be an adequate oxygen supply to keep the fire going. Fire feeds on oxygen. A fire cannot occur in an oxygen-free environment. Of course, that's pretty hard to find here on Earth. The air contains about 21% oxygen. We need about 20% to breathe, but fires only need about 16%. The third element a fire needs is something to ignite it. In some cases, a spark can get a fire going. In others, simply enough heat can lead to a fire. When the three elements of fire are put together, a chain reaction occurs, and fire is the result. Different types of materials need different amounts of heat to ignite. But given enough heat and a supply of oxygen, pretty much everything around you can burn. And depending on the material or fuel the fire is using, fires are classified into 4 categories. You need to know the classes of fires because you can't use the same methods to put out different types of fires. If you've ever seen a grease fire, you probably know that throwing water on it will only make it worse. And throwing water on an electrical fire will probably result in electrocution. The most common type of fire is called a Class A fire. Ordinary combustibles like wood, paper, and textiles are the fuel for Class A fires. Water is a great way to put out a Class A fire. Class B fires occur when liquids or gases ignite. A gasoline or propane fire is a type of Class B fire. These types of fires often will cause an explosion. When fires start as a result of electrical equipment, they are called Class C fires. A frayed wire, a short circuit, or an overloaded wall outlet can lead to Class C fires. The electrical equipment itself becomes the fuel for these types of fires, and using water to try and extinguish a Class C fire will make it worse. When the fuel of a fire is a combustible metal, it's called a Class D fire. These fires are less common in everyday life, but they still happen. Metals like magnesium, titanium, and sodium are common fuels for Class D fires. Advances in kitchen technology make it necessary to add another type of fire. Unsaturated cooking oils fuel very hot fires. They require Class K-rated fire extinguishers. If your facility has a commercial kitchen, look for Class K fire extinguishers. If a fire breaks out, you need to know what to do depending on the type of fire. But first, let's look at a few ways to prevent fires before they happen. Whether you work in a plant facility or in an office, you work with flammable materials. Remember, all a fire needs is oxygen, a fuel source, and a way to ignite, heat, or a spark. The first place to combat a possible fire is in your workspace. If you work at a desk, make sure there aren't excessive piles of papers and debris. That includes an overflowing trash can. Obey warning signs and smoke only in designated areas. Make sure to put out your cigarette and deposit it in a proper receptacle, like an ashtray. A burning cigarette butt carelessly tossed into a trash can has been the cause of many fires. If you work with oily rags or other combustible materials, keep them in a covered metal container far away from any possible ignition source. Arson is the main cause of fires in general office buildings. Always follow proper security measures and report suspicious activities. Whenever you work around possible Class B fire hazards like flammable liquids or gases, take special precautions. These materials should only be used in well-ventilated areas and kept away from anything that may produce a spark. Flammable liquids should be stored in sealed, spill-proof containers. Use only approved containers for all flammable liquids, especially if you're storing more than 25 gallons inside a building. Outside storage units should be kept a safe distance away from buildings. The proper class of fire extinguisher should be mounted within 75 feet of outside areas containing flammable liquids, and within 10 feet of any inside storage area. Anyone who works with materials like these should also be aware of all relevant facility policies. Not following proper precautions and procedures can kill you. Class C or electrical fires are especially dangerous and difficult to fight. An old frayed wire can cause a short circuit, igniting wiring in a building's walls. And remember, water won't do the trick here. It'll probably get you electrocuted. All electrical equipment should be checked regularly for old or worn wiring and for broken or damaged fittings. Faulty electrical equipment is a fire waiting to happen, so report faulty equipment immediately. Never run an extension cord under carpets or rugs, and of course the cords should not be frayed or broken. If you see exposed wire, the cord should be replaced right away. Protect extension cords and cables from being run over or punctured. Make sure electrical motors are in good working order and that they're clean. Dust or oily buildup is a perfect environment for a fire to start, especially if a motor overheats. Don't let it happen. Never install a fuse that's rated higher than the circuit specifies. Overheating and fire can result. Wall outlets where we access the electricity we need should not be overused. 2 outlets mean you should only use 2 plugs. Adding additional 3-to-1 converters is not permitted. No more than 1 heat-producing appliance should be plugged into an outlet. That means the coffee maker and the microwave in the break room should be plugged into different wall outlets, not right next to each other. Turn off the coffee pot when it's not in use. Whenever you're around electrical equipment, be aware of unusual smells like burning plastic or wires. This can be an early warning sign that a fire is about to occur. Take the equipment out of service, unplug it if it's safe to do so, and investigate the problem. Also, make sure no light bulbs in your work area can come in contact with combustible materials. An exposed bulb from a desk lamp can easily start a fire. All it needs is a little fuel, like a sheet of paper. Lamps are rated for specific watt bulbs. Never use a higher watt than the lamp will allow. Class D fires, those fueled by combustible metals, are uncommon for most of us, but the incredible heat they need to ignite and the heat these fires generate make them very dangerous. If you work with such metals, including magnesium, titanium, or sodium, always follow strict facility policies. They can save your life. Cooking food requires attentive awareness. Never leave a pan of oil unattended on the stove. Never set anything on a burner unless you're certain the burner will not start a fire. Water spreads a grease fire, so always know where the Class K fire extinguisher is located. Some facilities are designated high hazard occupancy due to the materials employees work with. This includes places where gasoline and other flammable liquids are handled, used, or stored. If you work in an area designated high hazard occupancy, you must follow all facility fire prevention requirements. No matter what you do or how careful you are, the fact is that fires do happen. And when they do, you need to know how to react. Otherwise, you may not survive. When an alarm sounds, emergency units spring into action. The main thing for you to remember about a fire alarm is simple. It means get out of the building, period. And not in 5 or 10 minutes when you're finished sending your email message or unloading a truck. Now. If your facility uses whistles, horns, or warning lights for any other purpose besides fire alarms, make sure you know the distinctive alarm that means there's a fire. In addition to alarms, some buildings also have public address systems to give employees further instructions. Either way, when you hear a fire alarm, that means it's time to move. Drop everything and go. If you're the last one out of a room, shut the door but do not lock it. Locked doors slow down firefighters. Never assume a fire alarm is just a drill. Even if you don't see fire or smell smoke, the fire could be in another part of the building. Fire can spread very fast and is very unpredictable. If you ignore a fire alarm, you could end up trapped inside a burning building. Once you hear the alarm, you have to know where to go based on your building evacuation plan. You may not be taking the same route you come in and go out each day. This is why fire evacuation drills are so vital, and why you need to take them seriously. It's easy to remember where to go in a fire evacuation, but will you remember how to get out if the room is filling with smoke and the electricity is out? Repetition, participating in fire drills, is the best way to be prepared. In a fire, you're not going to be very calm, so know the exit routes out of the building before you need to escape. Your building should have both a primary and secondary escape route. Fire is so unpredictable, it pays to have a backup plan. And never take the elevator to get out of a burning building. You could get trapped, and some elevators stop working in case of fire. Another part of your facility emergency action plan, or EAP, may assign certain employees specific responsibilities in case of an emergency. These may include making sure everyone's out of the building and making special plans for disabled employees. Escape routes should be the shortest routes possible, wide enough for all employees to use them, even people in wheelchairs. Employers should also make sure to mark doors that might be mistaken for exits but aren't. A sign saying "No exit" can keep someone from being trapped in a burning building. Exit doors should never be blocked. All employees should know escape routes and where to meet following evacuation drills and emergencies. The meeting place should be a safe distance from the building. Your facility evacuation plan may include what's called an area of refuge. This is a predetermined staging area between the area of fire and the outside. Follow your facility evacuation plan regarding areas of refuge. If you're evacuating a building and you get to a door, use the back of your hand to feel if it's hot to the touch. If it is, don't open it. That door could be the only thing between you and the fire. In a case like this, fall back on your secondary escape route. And remember, staying calm can save your life. Remember the evacuation drills and don't panic. If you are trapped, try to seal up room vents and cracks around doors. Stay close to the floor where there should be more oxygen and less smoke. If your clothes catch on fire, do not run. This gives the fire more oxygen to burn stronger. Instead, stop, drop, and roll to smother the flames. Keeping in mind that you should always exit the building if you hear a fire alarm, there may be times when you will have to fight a fire yourself. You should know where the fire extinguishers in your building are located and how to use them. Let's say you're at work and you notice some smoke. A small fire has broken out. At this point, you can call for help and get a fire extinguisher. But if the fire starts to get out of control, you have to leave. When trying to extinguish a fire, make sure the fire isn't between you and the exit. Keep your back to the exit and don't end up trapped. Make sure you're using the right fire extinguisher based on the type of fire. Every fire extinguisher displays a rating on the faceplate. This rating, A, B, C, D, or K, tells you what type of fire the extinguisher can be used against. Some fire extinguishers have multiple ratings. Using an A-rated fire extinguisher for a Class C fire, for example, can be disastrous and deadly. You can use most fire extinguishers the same way. Just remember, PASS, P-A-S-S. First, pull the pin. Next, aim the extinguisher at the base of the fire. Squeeze the trigger firmly while holding the extinguisher upright. Then, sweep the extinguisher from side to side along the base of the flames. Fires are dangerous, unpredictable, and life-threatening. Keep in mind the basic steps to keep fires from starting. Make sure you know what types of fire can occur in your facility. Follow proper safety procedures. Failure to do so could cost a life. Know how to fight a fire and what extinguisher to use. Know where alarms are located and how to escape. Hopefully, you'll never encounter a fire, but if you do, keeping all these things in mind can save your life.